Welcome everyone. So now it's 6:01 already on the East Coast. So let's get started. So last week we learned the classes and the relationship of the classes, the parent, child, and the inheritance. This is a very important relationship, very important relationship. Because it saves you a lot of time to write code. The reason is that what the code has been written in the parent is already there. So if you create a child, the child will have the behavior that the parents has. So it's so convenient. And let me first ask you these questions, then we will come to review the homeworks. I need to get Patina and Kathleen ready to present. So you both prepare for that, okay? So be ready for that. So let me ask you a question first. This is what we learned. You do not have to answer this one because I do not think it is important to us. So tell me about this one. What is inheritance? Does anyone know?
Inheritance is kind of like what you just explained. It's about when like the parent like creates a child, like their most of their traits that's like passed down to the child.
Yes, that's inheritance. Yes. So I'll explain a little bit about this one. I do not expect you all to remember it. I think this is for more advanced students. Patterning. So I do not get your question. Can you speak up?
Like for the inheritance, he just said something about traits. So I asked if it was kind of like similar to attributes.
Yeah, we see attributes. Sometimes we see fields. Sometimes we see properties. If I say the traits, I think then I said it wrong. It should be attributes. So you can inherit attributes, and the methods is the behavior. Attributes is the state of the class. Okay. So when we talk about the new and the init, both are the methods, and both methods are in the object class already. So even if you do not create your own, you do not define your own new and init methods, you will get that from object. So the new method is used to create a new instance. The init method is used to initialize the attribute value, initialize the class. Okay, so the new method is called first, and then the init method. Just want you to have that concept. All right, so let me stop sharing, and I want Pattern, you go first, and then I want Kathleen to do the second presentation.
Okay. uh, now, right here. Okay. My pie. So, wait, do I show the pie chart? Or can I just show this?
I see your Google Doc.
Okay. My pie chart's still loading.
Then that's fine. Says show your Google Doc also works. Just walk through it.
Okay. Then. So I first created like the adult class, right? So then I defined and initiated it. So self, name, age, and like birthday. So then I did my three concepts and my three methods, and then I did one my child class, which was like class teacher person. So I did the I did name, subject, and grade for this one. So then I also did the three concepts and the three methods, and then I think, and then the name is the one that like overrides the adult one. So from the child, it'll override it and replace, like not like replace, but like the top one, the top name won't show, but I think the bottom one will show.
Very good. So you see, I asked the students to give me a parent class. Here, the parent class is a person, and give me a child class. So here, the child class is a teacher. And I said that the parent class needs at least three attributes and there are three methods. And we do see three attributes. They are name, age, and birthday. And then we have three methods. They are get name, get age, and they get birthday, right? So in the child, you see, I asked for two new attributes. And you see here, the two new attributes is subject and grade, okay? And then I ask for one overriding method. That means this method exists in parent, but in the child, you redefine it. So the behavior is different. And you see what pattern did here. So what is that? Get name, right? So then I ask for two new methods. And then you see what a pattern did here is that get subject, get a grade. So both are new methods. They do not exist in the parent. So this is a perfect submission. Very good work. Thank you very much, Pattern, for the wonderful job. All right, Kathleen, now your turn. Can you walk through?
Yeah. So this is my parent, and for the parent I used a cloth, and the cloth has name, color, and texture. So I defined the name, the color, and the texture. And then over here, I define get names, and then I return the name. I return the color, and over here, I return the texture. And those are the three methods. And over here is the child. And I basically did the same thing, but added two more, which is country and strength, which is the two methods. And then I printed them out. Those are the two attributes, not methods. These are the two extra methods. And then this is printing everything. These are separating. So if I run it, then it's like this.
Yes, and you say very good, and you know the relationship between the child and the parent. And then now, the only thing I think you missed is the overriding, and you need to redefine one method in the parent. So in the parent, you have get name, get color, get texture. So you probably needed to redefine one of those. So make it an overriding method in the child. So that's the only requirement get missed, but the rest of them are perfect. Very good job. Thank you so much, Kathleen. All right, I hope you know through reviewing these two wonderful homework, and I wanted the class get an idea between the parent and the child, and what is overriding, and what is inheritance, and what is new attributes or new methods, because that's very useful. I wanted to pause here. Does anyone have a question? So you can let me know. You can speak up or you can type your question in the chat window. Let me just pause here. And what topic it is. So let me share my screen. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Sorry about that. I don't know why my network give me trouble now recently all the time. So I get dropped off again and again. All right, so let me share my screen now. So we're going to learn a very important skill. It's actually in the concept. It will affect your code, okay? So what is that? It's called a variable scope. When you create a variable, and in what kind of scope this variable is visible or is accessible, so you can use it. All right, so let me just get one student to help me read this. That hopefully will help you understand it. All right, so can I get a April? So April, can you help me read this slide?
All variables in a program may not be accessible to all locations in that program. This depends on where you have declared a variable. There are two basic scopes of variables in Python: global variables and local variables.
Okay, very good. So this tells you in the past, we never talk about this, right? But it is always there, it always affect our code, but we were not in that point yet to learn this, right? It's hard for us to understand it. Now, after we learned all those code blocks, it's time for us to learn this concept. So what is the variable scope? So not all variable is accessible all the time in all locations. So let's see some example, okay? So variables that are defined in a function body have a local scope. If you define a variable in a function, its scope is local, okay? And those defined outside have a global scope. This means that the local variables can be accessed only within the function, okay? So only inside the function that it is declared. And the global variable can be accessed throughout the program body, your application, by all functions. When you call a function, the variable declared inside it are brought into scope. So those variables, those local variables only exist when you call that function. Once the call is finished, that variable disappeared. The system just forgot it, trashed it, okay? They trash it. So let me move to the next one then. So try this code and see total, local total, and its output. Okay, so let me give you this code. I want you all get this code and paste in your PyCharm, and then I will walk you through and explain those to you. Okay, and then let's try it and help us understand it. It's a very important concept. Everyone now should know it. Okay, so let me do this. So you see pattern, I have your code here. I was running your code. Okay, so you see I have a variable here, defend, that variable name is total. And here you see I wanted to print total, right? Now you will see what is printed out. And then I create another variable called a local total. Okay, local total you see is argu1 plus argu2 plus total. Then I print this out. Then I return local total. So you see in my application, I use the sum. Okay, I just call the sum. And then I want to print out the total. You see what is the total? And then I will change the code and show you. Okay, so let me run it. All right, this makes sense to me. Everything looks perfect, great. You see, this prints out global total. Total is 0, right? And inside it, we have the local total. Local total is argu1 plus argu2. Argu1 is 10, argu2 is 20, and add them together, that's 30, right? And outside, you know, the function global total, that is 0, right? So after you finish calling this function, and then now you want to check it, the total, the variable value total, it's still 0. It's a perfect world. Nothing strange here. But, all right, but let's move to the next slide. Now uncommented the total lines in the function and see what happens. Okay, you will see the first print statement now has problem, commenting out and see what happens. Now you have 2 variables of total in your code and the system is not confused. So what does it mean? What does it mean? Let's try it. All right, so I want you to uncomment out this one. Okay, and I also want to uncomment this one. So you see uncomment out this line and uncomment this line. Okay, at this moment, you see we have a problem on this line, right? I have a problem. So let me comment it out. And then now you see in my function, you have a variable called total. And you outside of your function, you have a variable also called total. And let's see what is total now. Let me run it. Okay, you see inside the function local total, okay, it is still, okay, It's 30, right? And then print out this line, and then now this becomes 60. All right, but when you see this line, it's 0. You see here total is 0. Here total is arg1 plus arg2. And then you print out the 30. Now why you have 0 here? Print out the 0 here. What's the problem? What is the problem now? Do you see the problem? Okay. Why this total is 0? Why this total is 30? Okay. So that's a problem. So let me explain this. Okay. So let me give you these 2 lines of code. And I want you to try it as well. Then I will come back to talk about it. Okay, so you try to do this. Okay, you see here, it gives me a problem. Here it gives me a problem. You see, you have a red underline here, right? That means the code has problem. You see, arg1 here is the function. The code here is outside of the function. The system does not know what is arg1. We said this function, if you use the parameter here, it is only visible in this function. So you see, you use arg1 here, arg2 here, no problem, because that's part of this function. But if you use arg1 here, no, it's not allowed. The system does not know what it means because you did not define arg1. Arg1 only the function knows it. So that's a local variable. The same thing for local total. You say you define a local total variable here, you cannot use it here. You cannot use it here because this variable is defined in that function. It only has a local scope, and this code is outside of the function, so it does not know it. All right. So I hope I explained this one clearly to you, but let me come back to the total. You see, definitely I already have the total variable value equal to 30. No doubt, because it prints out as 30. But why when I print this out is still 0? Okay, now let me explain this. Because you define the total variable in the function here, the system will treat this as a new variable, and it is a local variable, and it has its own copy. So it will not confuse the system. It will not treat this total as the same as that one. So when you call the function, the system will make a copy of your function, and all variables you declared here will have a copy, and this copy is in a local scope, and this one is in the global scope. So when the system executes this function, it will only look into the local scope. So there's no problem there. Once this function is finished, so you call it and it is finished, all the things in this function disappeared. So when the code comes to execute this one, they look at the total, and it looks at that variable. And this variable is not changed. So that's why it is still 0. Let me pause here, and I wanted to make sure what I said makes sense to you. Do I have a hunter here? Miss He, I do not have a hunter today. All right, so let me ask Ryan, does this make sense to you?
Yes.
How about you, Alexia?
Yes.
That's good. All right, so then I assume, the rest of the class also understand what I said. That's very good because variable scope is very tricky. So if you make a mistake, sometimes you will mess up your code, okay? So let's move on then.
I actually have a question.
All right, ask.
I saw that there were some semicolons in some places. So what are those? Do we have to have those?
Okay, let me check my code here.
Because when I deleted the semicolons, it was still the same answer.
Oh, you are right, Kathleen. That's correct. You catched some typos. Good. Thank you. You sure don't have semicolons here. You don't need it. Semicolons is only for Java. Okay. So those should not be easy. Let me correct that. Thank you so much. Very good. Thank you. You don't need a semicolons. If you use semicolons, it's not good. Okay. Do not use them. There. All right. So then there's a question coming up. How to assign a value to a global variable in a function? How should I do that? Okay, this tells us using global to tell the system that the variable used is a global variable, which has been defined outside the function. Python makes educated guesses on whether variables are local or global. It assumes that any variable assigned a value in a function is local. Does this make sense to you, this sentence? Leo, does this make sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so let me still explain that. And I'm glad it works for it. It makes sense to you.
Well, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So it says Python makes educated guesses. Does that mean it's kind of like AI?
Yeah, you can think it that way. It's not a real AI, but let me explain it to you why it making smart guesses. Okay, all right. So if you wanted to do AI, I can teach you because I teach a lot of AI to the master degree students in the university. Okay, all right. So let me show you. Okay, let me take this one out. Okay, let me still comment out it. Let me comment out this one. I still get this one back. All right. You see, when I run this one before, it print out a 0. So this is a smart guess. You do not define total in your function. Why? It prints out a 0. See here. That means Python takes a guess. Oh, you asked me to do this one? I do not see this variable in the function. Then let me jump out to look into the world, see if there's a variable having that name. It does find one. Good. Let me use it. But if you do something here, let me do this, total equal to 20. Then you see what happens. You see the prints out 20 because you already define the variable total here. So this becomes a local variable. So it knows to use local. All right. But now let me do this. Okay. Look at my screen, global. All right. So let me uncomment out of this line. All right. Okay. Now let me uncomment out of this line. And then now you see what happens. Okay. First you see total printout is 0. And then you see printout total that is 30. Okay. And eventually you see here now prints out 30. Why? Why? So this is kind of smart, right? So because you use global here, this keyword, you tell the system this variable total is not a local variable. It is actually this one. So that is why when you print it out, you print out a 0. And then when you do this, you are assigning a new value to this variable. You are assigning a new value to this variable. Okay. Why I have so many semicolons here? Okay. So it assigns that to this new variable. So now you see this variable changes. It has a new value. It is not a 0 anymore because you change its value in this function. So that's why let's come back to this slide and you see what it says. Okay, cool, thanks. Okay, so now let me get someone to help me read this one. So hopefully this make more sense to you. So Peyton, can you read this whole slide?
How to assign a value to global variable in a function. Using global to tell the system that, that the variable used in it is a global variable which has been defined outside the function. Python makes educated guess on whether variables are local or global. It assumes that any variable assigned a value in a function is local.
Good, thank you very much. Hopefully I make this clear to you. Okay, so let me take the help from Catherine. Let me take this semicolons out. Thank you, Catherine. You are a good helper. All right, so let's move on. So we are finishing those. So therefore, in order to assign a value to a global variable within the function, you must first use a global statement. The statement global variable name tells Python that the var name is a global variable. Python stops searching the local namespace for the variable. Okay, if you get confused with namespace, just forget about that. You just say, okay, within the function, okay? So if a local and a global variable have the same name, just like the one we used here if we do not use global here, okay? Then let me comment out of this one. So you see, I have a local variable called a total. I have global variable called a total, right? So that's this situation. That means, okay, in programming, there's a term for it. It's called shadows. So the local variable shadows the global variable. That is why when you use global, you tell the system that is the global variable, okay? So the local variable has the priority. So you see here, I have a equal to 0. I have a function called my function. I print out a. This will print out that variable, okay? So then I have a equal to 0. I have a function here, but within the function, I declare another variable called a, the same one. So this one is this one shadows that one. So this one is not a variable in that function. The function only knows that one, okay? So when you print out here, you print out a 4. And then when you print out here, you print out a 0. But here, if you use global, this print out 4, and this print out 4 as well. Because here within the function, you already changed the global variable's name. Okay, if we can get those, I think we finish the biggest objective for today. That's the biggest one, and it's a very important concept. So let me pause here. Does anyone have any question? So Kathleen, does it make sense?
Yes.
How about you, Leah? Does that all make sense to you?
Yeah.
Very good. You guys are doing good. Okay, so let's then move to the next one. So let me do a quiz here. So let me get my chat window. I wanted to see your answer. What does the following code print? Okay, when you say it prints out 99, can you tell me why it will print out 99? So, Leah, so can you answer it?
Oh, the chair 99 thing? Oh, that was just my first thought. I put that in really fast without thinking. But it would be 99 because PP is just a variable. It's a variable that you made. And when you say like the function is called like the chair thing, PP it's just a variable. And when it said return PP, the chair function thing, it doesn't have any thing to do with it, so it just gets 99.
Okay, so let me ask Ryan, can you explain your result, your answer?
I guess error because for define chair, PP equals 99, and then you return PP. However, with the chair function, you don't have like a variable, so it doesn't really return, the value isn't really set to a variable.
Oh yeah, very good. And this really does not print out anything. You will get an error. Okay, if you write the code like this, your code will not work. The reason is that you are trying to print out a PP here. The system does not know what a PP is. And though you see that PP is defined here, it is a local variable. it only exists in this function. Once the function finishes executing, the code outside of the function cannot access this variable. They do not know what it is. They do not know what it is. So just like you have a box, and that box holds 8 candies, and you put that box in your school bag. Let me just make an assumption here. So Ren has a box with 8 candies in his school bag. And the partner wants to get that 8 candies. And then the partner, search his own school bag. There's no box. There's no candy there. Okay? It's not in your school bag. It is in Ryan's school bag. So pattern, you cannot get that candy. So here you see you're trying to get those candy, but the candy is wrapped in, or it is encapsulated in this function. Your fingers cannot touch that. Makes sense, right? All right, so let's move on to the next one. What does the following code print? I get 3 answers. I need 3 more. I get 4 answers. Get 5 answers. All right. So the right answer here is 100. The white is 100. And you see here it says I equal to 50. When you come to the function, you have a local variable called II. II is 100 now. And this function returns II. So it returns 100. It returns 100. So when you print out the return here, that's 100. So that is why what you printed out is 100. Okay, it's not an error because you print out this the value returned by this function. You call the function here. Okay, so you will get that value in it. All right, then do this one. What does the following code print? I get 2 answers. I need 4 more answers. I get 3. I get a 4. I got a 5. All right, so let me ask you, okay, Patton, what is your answer and why?
I chose error because it says in the top CC equals to 2, and if it's false, CC equals to 66. But then at the bottom it says if true, CC equals to 40. So I'm thinking that because CC equals to 2, CC equals to 2 is true. I feel like that's going to become an error.
Okay, so let me ask Alexia, what is your answer and why?
I typed 2 and I actually put the code in PyCharm and I got
Oh,
2.
okay. So you have some some tools to help you, okay? So let me ask Kathleen.
So my answer is 2 because CC is equal to 2 and it's not false. So it just skips the code in the middle and then it goes to print CC, which is equal to 2.
Right, okay, very good, Kathleen. The answer is 2. The reason is that, okay, CC equal to 2. If you see some code like this, if false, when you do condition, it will only be executed if it's true, okay? If it's false, you just skip that code. It's not necessary. It will not be executed, right? Only it says if true, then it will be executed. But when you come to this function, okay, in this function, if it is true, you set CC to 40. And here CC actually is a local variable. It doesn't return anything. If you call it, even it is true, even it says CC equal to 40, it's fine. It's a local variable. Has nothing to do with this one. So this one print out the CC, it's still that one. So that's why it's still 2. That's why it is still 2. Because this is a global variable. When you print out that, it's a global variable. If you see CC equal to something in a function, it makes CC a local variable. A local variable will not affect the global variable. All right, let's move on. Okay, I think let's stop here. You know, iterate, and that will be another topic. Let me see, it's 6:49. I cannot finish it, and some stuff here is very, deep, and I do not think it fits you guys much. So I will just talk about a little bit on it. All right, so let me just read a couple slides, and I'm not going to details on it. Okay, let me just read some slides. All right, so Ryan, can I get you to help me read it?
We learn loop and we understand that it provides a way to loop through every item in a collection. Now we want to learn a similar mechanism in Python, iterator. An iterator is an object that can be iterated upon, meaning that you can traverse through all the values.
Okay, so actually you see how loops work. When you use it, you just use it because it works that way. It works that way. But why it works that way? It did not tell us much before, right? Now it is a time. Now it's a time for us to understand it. Why you can loop it? Why you can loop it, right? Because you can make it in iterators. Okay, you can make it iterate. So that's why you can loop it. And then we need to understand why iterate works that way. Okay, you see strings, lists, tuples, dictionaries, and sets are all iterable objects. When it is iterable objects, that means you can traverse through it. So you can get the value from it one by one. Okay, so there are iterable containers which you can get an iterate from. All right. So I want to spend the next week to go deep into this. This will help you understand what is a class and how do you write that specific class. So it requires some time. So let me just start here, and then let me also stop here and just give you an idea. If you wanted to learn, and I encourage you to read this, but next week we will come back to learn this in depth. Okay. All right. Kathleen, last week's homework, that's what you submitted, right? You already know what you did and Patton did. It's good to me because it helps me understand that you understand the parent and the child relationship. But if you wanted to see an example, okay, so let me show you one. Let me just show you one. And I'm teaching, and the following class, I'm teaching the students that. So let me show you. Right, let me show you this. So I'm teaching them this is Python level 5. So let me just run this one. Okay. You see, this is the car race game. And I just help them start it. And what it really looks like later on in the future, when they finish, it should look like that. Okay, so let me click on this one. So you can use your arrow key. You can use your arrow key to try to control it, right? So why I show you this? Because in this you have an class, and you see this class I call it a car, and the car is the child of the sprite. You see in this example, I need to define the constructor, the init one. And then I define some more methods in it. So then you can control your car move left and right. And then in my code here, you see I import this car. Once I import it, then I can use the car here. You see I say play car, and then you see I create an instance here. So these are the examples why it is important. So then why I use Sprite? Because let me go to those website. Okay. So if you continue to learn next level for you guys, you come to learn how to program a game. And you see when we do a Pygame, in the Pygame there's a Sprite. Sprite is a class. The Sprite is a class, okay? So if you have this Sprite class, it will do those things. Those are the methods and the attributes. So I needed to create a child of it. So that is why I make it a child of Sprite. And if you, because you make it a child, then you see, come here, you can do draw, okay? And they can do update because that's the method defined in the parent. You say you can have updated, and you can have draw. Okay. So that's why. So it's an example, and we will use it a lot. Let me show you another example. Okay. This one. Let me show you this one. Level 5 butterfly. Okay, you see this is a butterfly. So let me run it. And why it works that way? You see, I have a butterfly class. I created this butterfly class here. So this butterfly can do, let me see. Let me come here to see it. Butterfly. Okay, you see pi butterfly. So let me open this class to you. So this is a class that defined called a pi butterfly. So you see it's a child of the sprite as well. So I have all those methods defined here. And then now you have a class. It's so easy for you to use it. You see what I'm doing here? I just create a butterfly, create a butterfly, create a butterfly, create a butterfly. So I don't need to do anything else. You see my code is very neat, very short here. So if I run it, you see I have 4 butterflies. And these 4 butterflies created here. So you are using classes to do it. The classes defined here, butterfly. You will learn more and you will use them more, okay? So let me just stop here because I have another class coming up. If you have question, you can ask me. If not, I'm going to, I do not see. Okay, I'm going to return the class back to Miss He.
Thank you, Dr. Yan. So